Hi everyone, welcome to Thursday. And today we are going to take a look at Smart Invest. They are an ETF provider here on the New Zealand Stock Exchange. They are certainly a great vehicle for people wanting to get exposure into perhaps other countries or other asset classes, but they're not sure how to do it. Now, this is for educational purposes only. I am not affiliated with the Smart Invest whatsoever. I do like what they do and how they offer things. This is for education purposes only. Definitely no way intended to be personalised financial advice. Now, just one thing as well before I jump across and share my screen. Coming up on the 21st of July, I do have the Teen Wealth Launchpad, and this is really good for 16 and 17-year-olds, especially if they're in the workforce, because the rules for KiwiSaver have changed this year, and it has a huge impact for young people of that age. Come along and join that. It's only $19. The whole family can attend for that price. And you are going to get a lot of tips, tricks, and how to maximize your KiwiSaver and get started straight away. And I'll also show you the difference of even waiting 10 years. You'll be surprised. It can potentially be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'll put the link for that in the show notes. But let's go have a look at Smart Invest. This is the Smart Invest website. So it's simply smartinvest.co.nz. And you can obviously click on any of these tabs up the top and it will tell you a bit more about the funds and the performance and what they can do. Now, I've just clicked on funds and performance, and let's go explore our ETFs. And you can see there that it came up and it said that there's over 40 different ETFs that are available to invest in. Now, an ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund, which means that it's a group of shares that are pulled together and sold under one particular fund. Now, if you're investing in the New Zealand share market and you want to invest in the NZX 50, for example, this is where you can come down to here and you would select NZG. So it's simply those top 50 companies on our stock exchange grouped together, and it's weighted exactly to the weighting of our main board. If you went to the next one down, the FNZ, for example, it has roughly an equal weight with no more than 5% exposed to some of the heavy weighting companies on our stock exchange. So that's how you can get into iShares or index shares like that. And if I scroll down, you've got the same thing for Australia as well. The good thing that I like about Smart Invest, or there are a couple of things, it means, especially if you're investing into an index, you're going to have exposure to all of those different companies. You do not need to worry about whether one particular company is performing well or not, that sort of thing. If you're investing in, say, the Australian top 200 shares, you will have exposure to all 200 of their shares that are on their stock exchange. Naturally, if a share falls out of the top 200 for the Australian market, it will be replaced by something else. Again, that takes that administration and worry away from you. Another thing that I like about Smart Invest is that it's all based here in New Zealand. So for those people that are concerned about things like the FIF rules, the Foreign Investment Fund rules, they do not apply because you're actually investing on the New Zealand share market. So that takes that out of account. Yes, their fees could be a little bit higher, but that's something you need to do your own research on and weigh up what is important to you. The other thing with Smart Invest is that they are PI investments. So it means that the tax is full and final at 28%. If your tax rate is lower than that, well, then naturally you'll be taxed at your nominal tax rate. If, however, your tax rate is higher than 28%, then this can be advantageous because you will not be required to pay any additional tax. If you've got tax questions, you do need to go and have a chat to your own tax agent. I certainly am not providing tax advice or tax recommendations at all. Now, let's just scroll down. So you can also have exposure to the US shares. For those that have been following markets of late, the US share market has been performing really strongly. You can also have exposure to international shares, so anything outside of the US, or it could be something like this Total World Fund, which puts all of the countries, if you like, and their share markets together. If I scroll down, you can have thematic shares, and that's where we can obviously have exposure to Bitcoin, to gold, infrastructure, anything like that. You can have exposure to property investments and also bonds and cash. Depending on your goals, your objectives, this is where you can obviously choose a lot of different asset classes to invest in that are grouped together. Now, I'm going to look at Bitcoin today. I know Bitcoin's come off from its recent highs, but let's just take a look. So I'm just going to click on this, and you can see that it will bring up the performance. So in this last year, it's fallen 31%, which is huge. It's had a 0.55% fund charge. And you can see here that it basically seeks to reflect the performance of the price of Bitcoin. And like it goes on to say that Bitcoin is really risky and unpredictable. And obviously, like any investment, it may not suit anyone. If you keep scrolling down, it tells you a bit more about the fund. So when it started, the index, the total fund value, or it doesn't pay a dividend on this one. You can see there that it's not applicable. And then it comes down to the returns as well. We go down a bit further, it gives us the top 10 holdings. So it is basically in the iShares Bitcoin Trust, which is in the US, and that's its main ticker code. Okay, and a little bit into both US and New Zealand cash. Right, let's go and actually do a review on it. So BTC is the ticker code. So we'll go over to Yahoo Finance and we will put in BTC.NZ, and you can see it is here. Right, I'll bring up 5 years for this one. So it has only recently started back in 2024, and that's why these candles, there's not a lot really showing here because it's only been around 2 years that this fund has been going. But you can see naturally it's had this huge fall. So it had hit a high really around here, which was June 2025, and it closed at $4.60. You can see at the moment it's down at $2.40. Right, I'll go and put our moving averages on, and that will help us get a more clearer idea, if you like, as to what is happening with this particular share. Right, this is the 30-week exponential moving average I've got on the screen, and you can see that Bitcoin started to fall at around October last year, and it crossed through that moving average around March 2025, and since then it's just been continuously falling. I also like to combine that moving average with the 15-week moving average, and again we'll move this to exponential. Exponential means it just puts more emphasis on the performance of the latter end of the share rather than averaging the performance out over the entire period. And you can see those moving averages crossed here, where it looked like it did pay a dividend. That's interesting because on the Smart Invest website it said it wasn't. So this was at the end of November last year is where those moving averages crossed to the downside. And if I just keep rolling forward, you can see that it hasn't gone and turned to the upside since then. Now, this is something that you do have to be really cautious of because shares will always move up and down. And you can see that with the red and green candles, red being where the market is falling, the green where the market is increasing. But not at any stage did those moving averages actually look like they were going to turn up. So that's a really good indicator if you're looking at shares, because if the moving averages are trading down like these are, and occasionally the shares are hitting above it, but on average it's trading down, that is a really cautionary sign to stay out of any particular market. In my view, you want to see those moving averages swing to the upside, and then potentially the share market, or in which case this is Bitcoin, it could mean that we're starting to see it rally again. Let's go and take a look at the 1 year chart. And obviously it brings these candles up to daily, so it does become quite noisy. It looks like the 15-day moving average crossed through that 30-day at around the 23rd of October 2025, and it's just fallen since. We did have it briefly cross to the upside around the 14th of April this year. However, it's now fallen back through again, which was around the 29th of May. And you can see the shares are below both of those moving averages. I'll just zoom in. And the share is still trending down. So we've got a little bit of a green candle here today. I'm recording this on Monday morning, and the market is up about 5.5 cents, which is about 2.3% just for what today. So nothing to get too excited about. But on that average, on the whole, you're seeing Bitcoin on the fall. The other thing to look at as well down the bottom here is the volume bars. Naturally, the red is where the market's fallen and the green is where we've had a good positive run. Basically, we're getting strong volume on the market falling, so when the market is selling off, and with the exception of this particular one here, which was the 15th of June this year, the green candles are having a lot less volume than the selling candles. So that in itself is cautionary as well. Not a lot more to report really for Bitcoin, but I just wanted to show you those ETFs. I know Bitcoin had been a really popular investment of recent times. There was certainly a lot of hype, a lot of noise around it. It's had its fall from grace, may turn around, who knows? I'm not in the game of trying to guess that, but I wanted to illustrate to you really the importance of doing your own research, how those moving averages work for you, and really to show you what investments are available if you're looking at using Smart Invest, because I certainly know there are a lot of people that want to have exposure to investments offshore, but the foreign investment funds rules do concern them. So Smart Invest is a great way to do that. And like I said, there's about 44 different individual ETFs that you're able to select from there. I really hope that's helped. If you've got any questions or if there's anything you want to know, please do let me know. If there is a share you would like me to review, again, let me know. I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, until next week, happy trading and take care.